Hello everyone, welcome back. I have a double page scrapbook layout for you today. I am working in my wedding album again. I have 3 photos here, and this is going to be a layout about the dress. I have this gorgeous stamp set called Beautiful Bride, and I just think this will complement this layout perfectly, so I'm excited about that. You can see my colors are cream, black, and red. Red was my accent color. What I love about the For Always collection is that it is this great set of black and whites and creams, and then you can add in your color to this very neutral palette. These papers are gorgeous. I think they're perfect for my wedding. It's just the feel that I want to capture those memories, and it's gorgeous. Look at that scripty writing, lots of beautiful papers. These are left over here from the first layout I did of my sister and I on my wedding day. If you didn't catch that video, I will have it linked in the description box below. Along with the Beautiful Bride stamp set, I have the In the Background stamp. This is a border stamp that is part of this special. And then I know it's hard to see, but I have this gorgeous doily stamp here. Stay tuned to the very end and I'll share some cards I created with these 2 stamp sets as well. Let me get this cleared out of the way here. This is going to be a double page layout, and I am going to build this layout on a piece of vanilla cardstock. I am planning on creating a linear design, and I've got my 3 photos here. I'm going to place this one in the center because it's zoomed in more, and these 2 are similar, so I wanted those spread apart a little bit. I did go ahead and mat these on black cardstock, so let me bring in my paper layers. What I'm thinking is I'm going to use this scripty paper on top here. So this is 5 inches by 11 inches. We're going to mirror that on the opposite side, although it is shorter, and I'm probably going to put a dovetail in the end of that. And the bottom layer, this one I already have the zip strip on there, so I just left it there, but it is, the black part is 4.5 with the zip strip, that's 5. And again, that is by 11 inches in length. So using the measurement lines on my verse mat, I am starting this 1 inch up, and it'll be 1 inch down from the top, so we know it's nice and centered. And I left this one a little bit longer because I am going to put a dovetail in that as well. Yeah, so I need the, gotta put that down a little bit actually, and then cover the gap with the zip strip. I don't want a very deep dovetail in the end here, so we're just going to find the middle. That's 4.5, so middle is going to be, make sure I'm lined up on the edge there, middle will be 2 1/4. We're just going to cut up about 1 inch there from the bottom and then in from each corner. You could definitely leave this, you know, straight if you don't want to do this step, but I always think this adds kind of a fun little design element. So line that up. Oh my goodness, I cannot catch the corner. The wider these pieces of paper, it's like I can't get it. Turn it over. There, that's going to make it much easier to hold. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, perfect. And I don't want it all the way to the edge, so I'm going to cut off half an inch of this. So the actual measurement for this piece is now 11.5 by 4.5. And then for our zip strip, I do want that to go all the way out to the end there, but we're going to cut that at an angle, just like so. And then I can trim off that extra piece. Ooh, this is going to be so pretty. I actually don't really like that. I'm going to snip that off and do a dovetail in that as well. Snip, snip. Let's see if that looks better. It does. I like that much better. I want my background paper to stand out from the vanilla cardstock, so I'm just going to go around the outer edges, the top and the side that's visible. There's no sense in putting ink on the bottom because I'm layering it underneath that zip strip. So we're just adding a little bit of black ink here, and you'll see that makes a big difference. I have those all adhered down so I can bring my photos back in, and then we can start the fun embellishing process. So yeah, those are going to go right about there. I am going to embellish this layout primarily with stamps. So I'm bringing in some vanilla cardstock, and I've got my Misty stamping platform here with the doily already attached, just so I could quickly stamp several. You don't have to have the stamp positioner. I'm just making sure that magnet is not going to hit and interfere with my stamped impression. Let's go ahead and bring in some of the Scarlet color. We're going to do red accents, and then we can ink this up here. Just get it nice and inky. And with the stamp positioner, you can always ink it up again. If you have like one of these little stamp positioner tools, that just kind of helps. If you have long sleeves, you can pull your sleeve down over your hand and, you know, rub it over the area. Now you can see it totally didn't get in the middle there, so I just need to push down in that area, and perfect. I'm going to repeat that process several times because we are going to do some layering with these stamps. I'm going to want 3 of the actual doilies, and then actually 6 altogether, because I'm going to cut out the centers, and you'll see what I mean here in just a moment. This is actually a technique from the workshop. There is a For Always workshop with pre-designed layouts and a cutting guide, and it just walks you through it step by step, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So you can print that out as a sketch resource or create those layouts. And again, see, sometimes you need to ink it up, sometimes you just need to push in that one area. I am going to add a little bit more ink to this area here. I want these nice and crisp. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, that's beautiful. So as I mentioned, I'm going to stamp and fussy cut several of these. So I'll just go ahead and show you what I'm going to do with one for now. So there is no coordinating die, but this is actually very simple to cut out. And you're just going to grab your micro tip scissors, and you're going to rotate the paper. You're going to keep your scissors fairly stationary, and then just rotate the paper as you go around. I know the last video I created with this collection, a lot of you said you were also still working on your wedding layouts many, many years later. And I thought, you know, hey, we're in good company, right? I'm actually redoing several of the pages that I started almost 20 years ago. So, you know, I'm glad I didn't get it done back then when I didn't know what I was doing. There's always a bright side, right? Now you can see that there is a pattern within the doily that makes almost like this star-like center. Do you see that? Well, when you cut that out, it almost looks, well, it does look like a flower. So I'm going to cut along the lines and just cut out that piece, and we're going to layer this over the other doily we just cut, and it's going to look so pretty. So you can just, it's easy to see. And then, you know, if you don't get super clean edges, just grab your you know, your sponge dauber tool and your Scarlet ink and ink up those edges, and it'll hide any imperfections. This Scarlet color is so pretty. You can see that my rose bouquet is a little bit more vibrant of a red, but I didn't want to go with candy apple. I preferred the more, you know, deeper red of the Scarlet with this particular collection. Through the magic of film editing, I have cut out several. I've got the 3 base layers and then the 3 centers, and I did add some foam tape, so it's going to pop up right over the top and add some dimension. And you'll see when I incorporate it into my layout how it'll really showcase that. But let's set those aside for now. And then we also want to use our Beautiful Bride stamp. I think this is so pretty. So I'm going to stamp her. And I did get the coordinating thin cuts. It just makes it so much easier. And we're going to stamp her in intense black ink. So be careful when you're pulling this off of the carrier sheet. And I am going to use my Misty again, just because my block for this size is not handy. So we'll just kind of lay her down right there. You want to give just a little bit of room for the coordinating die. Pick her up with the Misty door there. And let me grab my paper. I'm going to use vanilla cardstock because my dress is actually off-white. So it's this will be perfect. Make sure the magnet's on it, not in the way. And then I'm going to be coloring her in just a little bit. I'm going to color the flowers in her hair and just a few accents. And then I have a fun treatment for the veil I think you guys are really going to like. But the Intense Black ink, this is a solvent-based permanent ink, and this is what you want to use for the alcohol markers. So if you have the Spectrum Noirs or if you have Copics, any type of alcohol marker, you need an alcohol marker friendly ink that isn't going to bleed when you color over those lines. So let's see how this is going to turn out here. You don't want to push too hard. If you have a delicate image with a lot of detail and you're super heavy handed, you can actually kind of smash it and blur those detail lines. I missed just a little bit down on the hem of her skirt. So let me just get that area. I'll just go over a little bit right here. Line that up. Sometimes it'll shift when you pull up your stamp positioner door. So you want to make sure it's right back in the corner. And that is looking very good. You do want to let that dry. So I'm just going to set her aside for now. We can go ahead and bring this back in here. Let me get that back into frame for you, and then we will embellish this layout here with our doilies that we created. So you guys always hear me talk about the visual triangle, and that is generally how I start when I am placing my embellishments. So I know I'm going to have my title down here, so I'm thinking I'm going to put that one there and then have some of the red down here and then a little up here. And I'm thinking my bride stamp will go right here because she's facing this way, so it just makes sense for me to put her over here. So that I think is going to work. We can go ahead and kind of tuck these under. Now these layers are going to be fun because we're going to put this base layer underneath our photo, and then when you bring this one back in, it's going to go over the photo, and I just really like that layering look. And then on this one here, I added just a little black ink to the edges to help that stand out. I just wanted to see what it looked like on the layout before I did the other pieces. So for this one, maybe right about there, and then same thing, we'll layer this so part of it goes over the photo there. I thought it would be fun to revisit my fancy doily thin cut set because I absolutely love this. It makes such a statement, and since we've got the whole doily theme going on, so I'm thinking I'm going to put it right here, and it's going to be where my title sits. So there's two dies in here. I'm going to use the larger one. You can layer these, you can use the small one or the large ones independently, and these were a special from a while ago, but there is some still available as of the time I filmed this video. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. I'll be right back. Isn't that pretty? This is like a staple die because you could just die cut these doilies in any color. Now that is a pretty intricate die. If you're having difficulties cutting yours, add some shims. Just add some cardstock shims to your die cutting plate. I just have these that I can throw in there, and it's just paper. It's cardstock, and it gets really compressed over time, and you may need to add more or a fresh one, but that's all it takes to get this to cut out beautifully. So let's see how this is going to look over here. I actually am going to put that on top of this. So that's going to sit right about there. And then we'll layer this one right about there. I thought it would be fun to add some lace detail. Now I have a ton of little lace border dies, and as you can see, they're short. They work well on cards. You can line them up and make them continuous, and I tried it, but every time I went through my die cutting machine, it started bowing it a little bit when it was a 12-inch piece. So I decided on this one. All of these are retired, but they are well loved, and I gravitate towards those over and over again. But I cut a bunch of little strips from scrap black paper, and let's see how this looks. I think it's going to add a lot of interest to this top area up here, and those little hearts are perfect with a little scallop border. Ooh, I like that. I went ahead and got those glued down off camera because it's something I needed to get my head over my layout to do, but in the meantime I think our little bride is dry, so we can go ahead and color her. You can customize your little stamped images with any color scheme you would like. I have Scrapblend. I'm going to use this to add some depth to her dress. And then I have dull green for the tiny little greenery in the bouquet, dark red because I have red roses. And then I've got fair skin, which is a very light skin tone. And then I've got for my hair, because I'm going to try to make red hair, which is difficult. I've got burnt orange, earth brown, and gold brown. I think this is going to work. I was blending them on a piece of scratch paper and I think it's going to look good. So let's go ahead and start with shading her dress. And then I'm going to show you an idea for the veil that is just gorgeous. I'm going to go ahead and start by coloring in the shadows with this Scrapblend. So anytime you have a white or light vanilla colored image, you still want to add depth to it. And the gray markers, the ice gray or the brown gray, depending on your color scheme, are perfect for this. So I'm just going down the folds where there would be a shadow and then the inner little pleats where it shows the underside of her dress. And it really does make a big difference. So it's not a lot, it's just a little something. And we're going to use the lightest shade of the fair skin. And there's just a little bit, her neck and then her hand, and then red for the roses. And these markers do have a really nice fine tip, so you can get into these tiny little detailed images fairly easily. If you carried purple flowers or pink flowers in your wedding bouquet, then you would want to color them to complement your photos, of course. There's some tiny little green leaves. And now for the hair. So I'm using the warm brown here, or the earth brown, and the way the artist has drawn her hair, there's lots of different layers or sections. So I am just kind of coloring every other one with this shade of brown. Then I'll go ahead and switch it to the orange. Oh, there's Dave. Dave's coming to say hi. Let me move him real quick. Always the curious kitty. Actually, let's pop him in so you can see his cute little face. Scratches, happy scratches. Dave, your chin is dirty. You should really do something about that. Now I'm using the lightest color of the burnt orange, and it's a bit vibrant, more vibrant than I would want for my hair, but we're going to tone it down with the golden brown on top of it, and it turns out really close. I know when one of my sons was younger, he's like, "Mom, why do they call you a redhead? Because it's really orange." And I'm like, "Well, son, that's a good question, because you're kind of right." Go over it and blend it all in with the lightest color there. And now we can go ahead and die cut her out. Now we are going to add some Stickles glitter gel to the veil. This is the moon dust color, if you will, and it's so sparkly and pretty. So you're going to want a palette knife that comes to a nice little point so you have more control. And just grab a little dollop of this and spread it on the veil. And it's you're gonna see this is gonna look so pretty. So with the tiny little point there, you can get easily all the way to the edges there without spilling over. And you don't want to go crazy, you just need a thin layer of this. We'll put it up over her bun where the veil starts. And this does take a little bit to dry, so you want to give it a second to dry. And then let me clean this palette knife up and I'll be right back. Let me hold this up so you can appreciate that detail. Isn't that so pretty? Absolutely gorgeous. Really gorgeous. Adds so much character to her dress. And you can see there the shadowing too that ice gray blend adds to the folds in her dress. Let's go ahead and pull this back in and see how it looks over in this area. This is what I was thinking, kind of down here. We can bring that back in. Oh, I really like it. Perfect. I was contemplating the title and I was thinking the dress, or maybe something just kind of generic like, you know, little moments. I don't know. But I came across this stamp. I have a bin dedicated to what I call title builder stamps, and this one was in there. It's called Hope and Kindness, and you can get this with the thin cuts. And I thought, oh, beautiful dress. So, and it's just the right scripty writing. So just to save a little bit of time, I already stamped that in both Scarlet and black so I could kind of see what I like better. But yeah, that font just really goes with the layout nicely. So we could do Scarlet or we could do black. And I think I like black. And what I'm going to do is offset this. So I cut a few layers just using the die cut out of black cardstock. And then when you put this on here and just slightly slide it, you get that black shadow and it'll help it stand out more against the vanilla background. But I think that looks really good. So I could just use a little font stamp to stamp my, and then dress underneath there, my beautiful dress, or maybe just beautiful dress, maybe just beautiful, I don't know. When in doubt, try it out. I took an old alphabet stamp from my stash and just a scrap piece of vanilla, stamped it out in Scarlet, and then fussy cut around the edge, kind of following it. Sometimes I'll stamp it on scratch paper just to see how it's going to look, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to fussy cut it out, and that way I can actually use it just like that. So I'm thinking maybe layering this one down here over the empty corner of the photo, and then this one maybe right there. I want these doilies to look like florals. So I have a whole bunch of leaves here that I cut from rosemary cardstock, and I'm very excited about this. Let me show you. This is the Sprigs and Leaves thin cut. It's like Slimline card size, and this is really cool. It's like this bundle. So there's an embossing folder and then layering stencils. So you can create these really intricate detailed images, but I just ran this through one pass, and then you get all of these leaves to play with, and they're different sizes and different shaped leaves, and this was the biggest highlight for me, so super excited about that. Actually, I just went and ran another one through my die cutting machine just so you can see what that looks like. So this, as I said, you have all of these leaves, which how fun is this, in different sizes. You can just make a whole bunch with one pass through your die cutting machine, and there's even these little tiny ones on the side, but these are great sized for cards too. And then you get a background out of the die cut pass. So, and do you see the stitching, the faux stitching detail around the edge there? So this is what the outside layer looks like. I still have some leaves in the die there. And then, as I mentioned, there's there's a stamp set too. I didn't even show you that. But there is the, so there's the die cut, and then there's a coordinating stamp set. So you can stencil to add color with the stencils and the embossing folder. And then, die cut, there's so many different ways you could use this and add different layers and different colors. And I just thought it was really fun. But like I said, I'm pretty excited about having all of these beautiful leaves to work with. All right, so I do want these to look like flowers. So what we're going to do is just add them kind of coming out in sprays around the from underneath the flowers here. So kind of just framing in the photo, we're going to create this like cluster going this way. So what's nice about these two is they are going in different directions. So you have some arcing to the left, some to the right, and different shapes, and then of course the different sizes as well. So let's put this one kind of going down, and then we can do this one going up. And then we have some little guys too that you could just kind of tuck in places. That one looks good there. And then we need some down here as well. That's from a different die cut. Let's go with this one. I need to adhere that. I already adhered that one down, so let me lift that up. Yeah, see, I was just kind of framing that in, and then I want something kind of pointing down also. Let's go with this small one. That totally makes these look like a floral embellishment, doesn't it? I found one more stamp from my stash. It's called Notice the Details, and these sentiments down here say notice the details and captured moments. And I love word sentiment stickers, so with stamps you can create your own. And I'm going to layer these right over the top corner here. Just a little something something. I like it. While the camera was off, I added a few things. I added another doily. Actually, this piece was cut off of this one that was tucked under, and I just wrapped it around, added a little bit more greenery, added a few acrylic hearts around the layout, and then of course my journaling I typed up on my computer and then cut that into strips. So, oh, and I changed the title from My to The Beautiful Dress. I just like that a little bit better. In the beginning, I mentioned I had some cards I created and I wanted to share those with you. So this is with the Love Doily and the In the Background stamp set. That's part of the For Always collection. And then the butterfly is from the Cosette Scrapbooking stamp. Let me show that to you. That's this stamp set here. It has a very vintage feel to it. There's that butterfly, there's a clock, a little postage stamp, and then some, great scrapbook related words, story, remember, tell your story, but that's where the butterfly is from. And I used mist ink, mist shimmer trim, and then black and vanilla. This is a little background stamping from the Dream Maker stamp set, which is no longer available, but if you have that one, that's how I did that. And then this one was inspired by both the For Always card making workshop and my friend Melanie over at Mel Stamping Gallery. She used these colors and I just loved it. So this is Mist. It's this beautiful kind of blue gray. And I stamped the doily in the background. I stamped text from the Dream Maker collection in black and toffee. And then just popped up a little thank you circle on the sentiment. And then there is the mist shimmer trim tucked on either side of our stamped panel. This one is just collage stamping using the In the Background stamp, the Love Doily stamp, and then the text and these little guys up here are from the Dream Maker stamp, and then there's that butterfly again from the Cosette collection. I left a sentiment off. You could put one up there or put your sentiment inside, but I just thought it was a very nice, elegant note card. And then this one inspired my next card here. I was practicing with this stamp set ahead of time, and I decided to use her on a card. So the Beautiful Bride to Be is from the same Beautiful Bride stamp set, but you can see my background is the same. I used the mink color to stamp the zigzag from the In the Background stamp, and then the Love Doily, and then matted that on black. And I thought this would make a beautiful bridal shower card, don't you think, for Beautiful Bride to Be? I just really like how that turned out. So many fun projects that you can do with those stamps. If you enjoyed today's video and found these ideas inspiring, go ahead and take a minute to click that thumbs up button. I appreciate that. Everything I used can be found in the description box below the video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.